Good Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about tonight. But before we get into that, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Right now we have around a good 7 people in here and 4 likes. So go and hit the like button if you have not already. Also go and hit the subscribe button. We are at 711, trying to get to that main goal of 889 away. Make sure that you also go on and hit the share button, share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to. It's free and you can change your mind at any time. What's on tap for tonight? We will talk about the fog development tonight in the Sunday morning, some dense possible inland. Very warm and a dry Sunday with significant temperature drop Monday going into Tuesday via the CAD wedge that occurs. We're going to talk about the midweek condition with Wednesday with rapid rebound to much warmer temperatures as we go into Thursday and Friday. Even the National Weather Service thinks it could potentially be up to summer-like temperatures. Summer-like temperatures as we go into later next week. So definitely a good amount of stuff to go on and see there and to look at. But we'll get into all of that in just a second. But first, before we get into that, let's go in and talk about what's currently going on. Well, if we go in and look and see what's going on throughout the entire state of South Carolina, we are dry. We are dry. No precipitation right now is falling. And if we go in and look and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., well, you can see that we do in fact have some snowfall going on in Michigan. You have some snowfall in Ohio, Indiana. You have some rainfall as well in parts of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas. Some rainfall also over here inside of Northern California, Northern Nevada, Southern, Idaho, also in Oregon, Northern Utah as well. We also do have some rainfall over here inside of Florida. If we go on and look and see what's going on in terms of cloud cover, for the most part, it looks like that we definitely do have some low clouds going on. That is mainly going on near like the low country areas, the Midland areas, the Grand Strand, the PD areas, all of those areas right now getting covered with some low clouds. And if we go on and look at that cloud cover for the future, it looks like that it's going to be a bit more of a foggy night. You see as that cloud cover kind of moves its way off of the state now into the Atlantic. You can see that fog developing behind it. That goes all the way through. I mean, this is at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Fog cover going on throughout the upstate. Fog cover going throughout the Midlands, the Low Country, the PD, Grand Strand areas. All areas right now are receiving fog cover by the time you get into tomorrow morning. Now, it will go away, and we will actually clear up, once we get into the afternoon, but it won't last long. Look, as we get into around the evening hours tomorrow, cloud cover comes back. It does indeed come back, and it stays all the way throughout Monday, goes all the way throughout Tuesday, or at least a little bit of Tuesday. So cloud cover will be back, and we'll be making a return once we get into tomorrow evening. Now for our current temperatures, you have around 52 in Somerville, 53 in Charleston, as well as 55 in Beaufort, 55 also inside of Hilton Head Island, as well as a good 53 in Orangeburg, 52 Georgetown, and 53 inside of Murray's Inlet, 52 in Conway, 51 Florence, and 51 in Hartsfield, 51 Bennettsville, and 53 in Lugoff, 51 in Lancaster, and 50 in Rock Hill, 51 also inside of York, and 52 Gaffney, 53 inside of Spartanburg, and even around a good 54 in Greenville, 57 in Clemson, and 55 in Anderson. Now, what about for your air quality? For the most part, it looks like air quality mainly good for a lot of us. We have some moderates in some areas. You see like a little moderate over here near North Charleston, near Ravenel, near Seabrook Island, over in the Somerville, Latson, Sangaree areas. But if we look up here, we have another little area up here inside the moderate category, just to the north and east of Clover, just to the north of Kankakee as well, but mainly on that border with North Carolina near Charlotte. And that's the only moderate areas. Again, moderate's not something that you should be saying, oh, well, I'm not going to go outside for anymore. It just means that it's not the best. Not the best. But it is still okay to go outside and still okay to just do regular things. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around a good 45 in Greenville, 44 in Spartanburg, as well as 43 in Rock Hill, 44 also inside of Chirag, and 43 in Dillon, 44 in Florence, and 45 in Myrtle Beach, 44 also inside of Georgetown, and 45 in Moncks Corner, 49 in Charleston, and 44 in Barnwell, 50 Hilton Head Island, and 45 in Columbia, 46 at Aiken. So it's going to be mostly in the 40s for a lot of us, most of us being inside of the mid 40s, but some of us may even try to get inside of the low 50s. High temperatures for tomorrow, 76 in Greenville, Spartanburg, as well as 75 in Rock Hill, 76 in Chirag, 78 in Dillon, as well as 79 in Florence, 70 Myrtle Beach, and 71 in Georgetown, 74 in Moncks Corner, and 70 in Charleston, 70 inside of Hilton Head Island, and even around a good 75 in Orangeburg and Walterboro, 76 in Aiken and Barnwell. So definitely a lot better than what it looked like today. A lot better. I mean, we were seeing high temperatures in the high 60s in the upstate, and then in the low country and in the Grand Straight areas, you're only seeing it in the low 60s. Everybody's going to at least try to get into that 70 range as we get into tomorrow, so that's something good to look for there. Now, what about for our rainfall? Rainfall is not expected at this time, so you don't have to worry about any sort of precipitation as we go throughout the next 24 hours. And then for the crazy score, this is the incorrect one. The correct one for tonight is around 26. Why are we at a 26? Why are we inside the mild category and it's not even raining or anything like that? Well, mainly because of fog. In the upstate, the valley areas, the Piedmont, some sheltered Midland areas, patchy fog may develop late tonight into early in the morning. And so obviously we just showed it earlier. We saw the fog cover going on all the way, whether it be from the low country areas over inside the Grand Straight areas, all the way up into the upstate. You saw that fog activity there. And so, if you're driving early tomorrow morning, or if you're out driving late tonight, make sure that you have your low beams on. Not high beams. Not high beams. Please do not turn on your high beams while it's foggy outside. Low beams, or if you have a newer car, fog lights. That, and then also, for the most part, that and then maybe some cloudy activity a little bit, but I mean the fog cover is going to be, I think, the main concern. And then that, I think that's really about it. I don't really see any other threat tonight in terms of just anything else. Just fog cover being the main one. SPC outlook for tonight: thunderstorms are not expected tonight, tomorrow, or Monday. So as we get throughout the last day of February today, we are no longer expecting any sort of thunderstorms for the rest of the month. And then as we start off March tomorrow, it looks like that we are going to be still starting off pretty good. For our fire weather, nothing here. Excessive rainfall, we're good. So let's go in and check out the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, because that is very important to go on and pay attention to. But if we go on and look at it, we're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. You go on and push this forward, and you can see nice, dry conditions. So we are just looking relatively amazing as we go throughout all the way into Sunday, going all the way through Monday, all the way into Tuesday. We just look good. And so no rainfall really is expected. I do see like some little droplets here and there, but I mean, that's like barely anything. That goes like Sunday at around like 6 o'clock p.m. going all the way to around 8 o'clock p.m. You see in the Midlands there a little bit, like a little isolated shower. But if it does bring any sort of rainfall, it's going to be more on like the very light side, and it would not cause any sort of accumulation, which would not put it on the map that I just showed you. This one right here. Where is it at? Right here. It would not put it on this map, the total precipitation amount, because it doesn't accumulate anything. So, like I said, I'm not really too worried about that. I'm not looking at that or anything like that really too carefully. So what about the long-term future? There's a lot of things to talk about. But if we start off with where we just ended off, here we go, 7 o'clock p.m. on Monday. You go and push this forward, you can see that we have some rainfall that's trying to go on, like right in that PD, that Grand Trent area by the time you get to around 7 p.m., 10 p.m., 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday. And then it kind of just goes away. But by the time you continue even more, you have some more rainfall potentially going on by the time you go throughout, the upstate. Here's 1 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. And then look at Thursday at like 1 o'clock p.m., during the afternoon hours. This is our chance right here of seeing some thunderstorm activity, some rain, some thunderstorm activity with all of this warm air that we are seeing. All of that's happening at this time because this is going into the later part of the week. Now, this goes on all the way through Friday. Friday comes along, it starts to rain again, especially once you get into the afternoon hours because it's warm. And, when it starts to get warmer in this environment, that's when that's when the thunderstorms start to pop up. And that's why he was talking about summer-like. Because, during the summertime, that's when you start to see that rainfall, start to pop up during the daytime, during, most days on summer. And this could potentially, be what happens here. You go all the way through Friday night, Saturday comes along, and it dries out again. Getting into Sunday, still relatively dry. So, looks like that a summer-like days are possible as we get later into next week. But if we continue past that, we go past, next weekend, going into the week after next week, Monday, Tuesday, staying dry. We're looking for a cold front as we go into the week after next week, Wednesday. That's being like March the 10th, March the 11th. And then maybe even another one after that. We'll see what happens, but that's too far out. It's too far out to really talk about right now. But the main thing that we are talking about, though, is this wedge pattern. And so if we look at it right here, we're going to start off here Sunday. You see temperatures. These are temperature anomalies. So we are, staying above average in terms of temperatures once we get through tomorrow. Then what about Monday? Monday going into Tuesday. That comes along, and we have definitely some cooler than average temperatures by the time we get into Tuesday. And that is because of the wedge activity, that cold air damming activity that is happening. Now, it didn't show as cold temperatures as it was going to be, but it still shows below average temperatures. And, like I said, it's not going to be as cold as it once was forecasted, but in my opinion, that definitely will still impact our weather greatly, because we'll be back down into the 40s for a lot of us. Some of us may even have some high temperatures in the 40s, going into the first part of March. So, it's, in my opinion, I think that that's a pretty big deal, but, to some people it may not be. You continue that forward all the way through, we continue to stay cool until we finally move into Wednesday. Wednesday comes along, we start to get back up into the 70s. Low temperatures just being inside the high 50s, low 60s. That's what we're looking at after that pattern is done. And then we get into that Thursday and that Friday time frame. And then by the time you get through all the way to Friday, going into like Friday 1 p.m., look at this, 80s potentially coming as we go into next week, like the later parts of next week going into next weekend. And we're going to have to watch for, those summer-like temperatures that I've been talking about and that the National Weather Service has been talking about. We go even in the Saturday, going into Sunday, temperatures up in the 80s. So that's definitely something to look forward to. If you are a warm weather fan, if you're not, something definitely not to look forward to. But if we continue this all the way through, we're staying in the 80s all the way, not just through next weekend, but even further than that. We're talking about 80s continuing all the way through that Tuesday, through that Wednesday, and then that cold front comes through, and that just really just knocks things out by the time we get into the middle parts of March. So, just a lot of good stuff to look forward to, but also just like a lot of factors that can come in and just really just change things up, especially that major cold front that could potentially come through as we go into the middle parts of March. Definitely going to change stuff up, but widespread 80s definitely, definitely is on the way as we get into like the first 10 or so days of March, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. Maybe even a little bit earlier than that. So just definitely keep an eye out for that. And then, obviously remember the CAD, the cold air damming thing that will occur as we continue throughout Monday and Tuesday, significantly cooling down our weather down all the way into the 40s, where when over there just to the west of the Appalachian Mountains, they're in the 50s and 60s, while we're over here in the 30s and 40s. Now, if we continue, even further into the future with our anomalies as well, anomalies just look pretty good. I mean, still like 20, 25 degrees above average for a good amount of us until we get into, that cold front going into mid parts of March. And so I think that is about all that I have to say here in terms of our long term future. So let's go on and look and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, Myron Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. I did. Thank you so much for that. Maya Lewis says, hopefully everyone had a great day. I did. Mr. Chris says, currently it's 52 degrees here at Moncks Corner. So far, 59, or got to 59 for a high. At my house, it's 53 right now. 53 at my house currently. And then my high temperature for today was around, around a good 57. 57 on the dot. 57 on the dot. Maya Lewis says, this morning in Georgetown it started off a little foggy. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris says, started off cloudy and then started to clear up right before dark. Maya Lewis says, Georgetown high today was around 60 degrees. My Nan says, hello, Jay. Hello to you. And then Maya Lewis says, currently it's 49 degrees here in Georgetown. Mr. Chris says, this weather has me not feeling well. Hot on, one day, cold on the next day. Started running a fever this afternoon. Still not feeling well. I am very sorry to hear that, but we're getting into that transitional period now to where we're getting into spring. We're going to be cold some days, freezing, frigid. And I still don't think that we are done with freezing temperatures, as much as we would most likely want to be done with them. And a lot of us probably do want to be done with them. I still think that we have that threat still there, especially as I'm looking at that cold front going into the middle portions of March. We'll see what happens there. Continue our way down. Trail says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. Maya Lewis says, wow, I love it. Summer-like temperatures. Absolutely. Mr. Chris says, please remember to go hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free. Helps the channel grow. Plus, you can change your mind at any time. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right now, we are at around a good 14 people tuned in and 8 likes so far. So go and hit the like button if you have not already. Hit the subscribe button as well if you're new. We're at 711, trying to get to 800 subscribers. 89 away from that main goal. Milo says, oh my goodness, another cold front is coming. It is, yes, coming in later. And then Mr. Chris says, most definitely looking forward to this warmer weather. That says, good evening, gentlemen, the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well with everyone. It was a beautiful day here in Central Texas. Highs in the upper 80s. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. And all is well with me. And that's all that I can see here. So let's go on and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 locations, what are you talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. So, starting off with San Antonio first, you have low temperatures tonight at around 63, high temperatures tomorrow at around 84, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 63. Precipitation not expected at this time. There is a risk of patchy fog tonight going into tomorrow morning, so make sure that you are prepared for that. Precipitation, like I said, in that fog cover going into tomorrow night is not expected, so seems like it ends as you go through tomorrow morning. Now for your future, looks like that you will continue to stay hot. I mean, as you go into next week, Tuesday, your high is still going to be 88. Going into Monday, 85. Going into Friday, 87. So you will continue to stay up in the 80s. And it looks like that you may also have like a little midweek rain chance, 50% on Wednesday, 40% on Wednesday night. And then also maybe a bit on Thursday going into next weekend. I mean, you have a 50% chance of rainfall already for next weekend already. So, just definitely watch out for that. And then your winds, for the most part, you're going to stay gusty. I mean, 20-mile-per-hour wind gusts tonight, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's still, once you get to Thursday, it kind of gets a bit too far out. But, I mean, probably Thursday. But you continue through with these gusty winds as you go all the way throughout next week. Then for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at around 44, high temperatures tomorrow at around 74, low temperatures tomorrow night at around 38. Precipitation, not expected for tonight or tomorrow, but tomorrow night you have a chance of showers, so make sure that you are prepared for that. And then in terms of fog, definitely tonight and tomorrow morning, fog is in the forecast, so make sure that you are prepared for that. And then also, for your future, it just looks like for the most part that you are going to stay, kind of warming up as you go throughout, like next week. Now, you'll take a little bit of a dive as you get into Monday and Tuesday, but like I said, Wednesday 73, Thursday 76, 78 on Friday and Saturday. So you will kind of stay in that 70 mark, but you'll take a bit of a dip as you go into Monday and Tuesday. Precipitation-wise, chance of rainfall as you go throughout Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday, and then maybe even a bit as you go into Friday and Saturday. For Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at around 33, high temperatures tomorrow at around 40, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 19. Precipitation is not expected for tomorrow night, but tonight there is a slight chance of showers. Patchy fog definitely is going to be a concern tonight. And tomorrow, there is a chance of showers and a wintry mix. So make sure that you are prepared for that. For rainfall, the potential for sleet, the potential for, snow, freezing rain, all mixed together as you go into tomorrow. And then in terms of your future, it looks like that you will just continue to stay in the 50s as you go all the way throughout into around like Wednesday-ish or so. But then once you get to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, starting to get back up into like the 60s, maybe even the high 60s. For your precipitation, as you go into like Tuesday, 70%, Tuesday night, 90%, Wednesday, 50%, 30%, 50%, Thursday, and it just continues to stay there for precipitation as you go all the way throughout next week. So make sure that you are prepared for your rainy week ahead. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at around 57, high temperatures tomorrow at around 79, then low temperatures tomorrow night at around 51. In terms of your, rainfall for your future, temperatures for your future, you will warm up as you go all the way through Monday, as you go all the way through Tuesday, Wednesday as well, going into Thursday and Friday. You're just going to stay up in the 70s. You will drop a bit as you go into like Saturday of next week. And then precipitation-wise, I've been talking to you about it for the past couple of days or so, but it's going to be a rainy week. I mean, there is a chance of rain and thunderstorms almost, if not every single day going in to next week, except for possibly Monday. Monday right now, there is no chance of rainfall, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, showers and thunderstorms are likely. So make sure that you are prepared for that. I did not bring up severe weather or excessive rainfall for either of these locations because none of them are expecting any. And yes, that just comes off of a day where we were just talking about yesterday how Duncan had a huge day 6 risk of severe weather They did get rid of it, so it's no longer there anymore. It did kind of move a bit down towards like the south and east. So like I say all the time, things are gonna change, especially 6 days out, and that's exactly what we saw. So that's just something to go on and just take a look at and just to keep in mind of. But right now you're done with it for right now. So let's see right now what is going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news wise. Well, for right now, it looks like that we are still seeing fire concerns. I mean, the plains to the mid Mississippi Valley continues with warm and dry conditions. Any fires that initiate could spread quickly. The warm temperatures will expand across the southern plains into the southwest, where numerous records are expected through the weekend. Meanwhile, a cold front will move south across the northern Great Plains, or the northern plains, and the Great Lakes region, where some snow will develop this weekend. We also will see some fog developing throughout a good amount of obviously the southeast, but maybe some dense fog in parts of Louisiana. New Orleans is included in there, Hammond is included in there, into southern Mississippi, especially near Gulfport. And then I think that is about all. That's all I can see. Everything else is kind of just quiet right now. Everything else is just kind of just quiet. So that's all that I really have to say. Let me see. Do we have anything else outside the chat? I do not see anything here. Let me check and see if I have anything inside of my email. Don't see anything inside of my email, so I guess we're good there. So that's all that I have to say, really. Top fans of the night for tonight, Miss Chris is at that number 1 spot. My Aunt Lou is at number 2. And then Thad's at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, being here early, being active as well. All of that will put you up to that top spot. So that's all that I have to say there. Make sure if you've not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. 711 trying to get to 800. 711 subscribers trying to get to 800 subscribers. And then also hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to. You can share it with somebody who you maybe just met at the red light yesterday, who you just managed to somehow just strike up a conversation with. It doesn't matter. Just go on and share it with somebody so you can go on and help grow the channel. It not only helps me, helps the channel, but also helps you all, the viewers and the subscribers as well. So go on and so we can go on and continue to push our way towards that goal. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Sunday morning forecast update. Apologies for not being here this morning. I did make an afternoon short, so if you have not seen that, go on and do so. And then also tomorrow night, going to be a huge night. Going to be a huge night tomorrow night. We will be talking about not only the week forecast for the week of March the 1st through March the 7th, but we will also talk about the March forecast, but we will also talk about the spring 2026 forecast. So a lot of things to talk about as we go into tomorrow night. Make sure that you're there. It's going to be a huge night, and I hope to see you there tomorrow. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Saturday, and make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave.